Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is October 12th. It's about 11 a.m., and we're in beautiful Austin, Texas. My name is Matt Leschper with 1836 Property Management. As always, here on South Congress in the center of our Metroplex, we manage residential properties for investors around the world. The properties are located here in Central Texas, and we've been doing this about 16 years now. So today, we've got somebody with us. His name is Chase Stern. He's the co-owner and founder of SPC Services. He's one of our go-to vendors for make-readies, repairs, anything that is bigger than a bread box. Chase can probably handle it. So we wanted to share with you some give and take from us and him to help you better understand how maintenance really works beyond Google. Everybody wants to Google something and say, well, it costs $250 in Austin. Find somebody. Well, that's not really reality. Austin is a little bit different. There's a lot more demand. There's a lot less supply. And time is of the essence when your holding costs are about $100 a day. So that second estimate to save you $50, waiting 3 days is really going to cost you more than the actual repair itself. So Chase, tell us a little bit about yourself, about SPC Services, and give us a little background on how you got into this.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So thanks for having me on. So we are a local handyman service. We provide maintenance. We do turnovers, make-readies, and also small remodels for property management companies. We work primarily with just property management companies. So, we've perfected the process, anything from your small maintenance to completely doing your turnovers. We've been working with 1836 for the last 2 years and developed a really good relationship with 1836. So we do have high priority over, their customers, their owners. I got into this, I was in property management. I was in the maintenance side of it and realized how hard it was to get someone out to our properties. So I can do the work myself. So I just started doing the work myself and, turned it into a full-time business to where I am, the go-to guys for a lot of, the maintenance guys or the property managers to get this work done in a timely manner and in a cost-efficient manner.
I don't think everybody realizes that hasn't done this for a living, that maintenance is our Achilles heel. We can take care of just about anything else. We can communicate effectively. We can interact with tenants and owners. We can do accounting, but we can't do the maintenance ourselves. We have to have providers that are depending upon the trade, licensed, insured, bonded, trusted, do billing the way that we want to do it, are communicative, responsive, fix things when sometimes they don't go right, are not here today, gone, or in jail tomorrow. Those are all things that we have to have. They're not optional for us as property managers because we're professionals. We're not the people calling the lowest common denominator on Craigslist asking if he's made bail yet so he can save $50. That's just not how professionals run their business. So it's great having you here today, somebody who can share that professionalism with our clients and come from the outside instead of us telling our investors what's going on, because sometimes they don't necessarily take everything we say as the gospel. Having somebody else give us that insight into the reality. So our video topic today is top 4 recurring and preventative maintenance tasks for your rental property. Specifically, we're going to go down these, but they're everything from make-ready costs to landscaping, remodels, and minimums for repairs, but not just pricing, kind of minimum conditions too, if we have time to get into that. So let's just jump into the first one. Make-ready costs for tenants. Now, from my experience doing this about 16 years, owners think that if you clean the property, you're done. I mean, a $200 housekeeping, the last tenant's probably left it in great condition. There's no reason to even touch up the paint because it's not on site any longer. It's been 5 years and it doesn't match anyway, but it's going to be fine. They're renters, so they don't deserve any better than just a clean house. That's not really the reality of our marketplace, though. There is a lot of competition. People are paying on average more than $2,000 to rent a house, even in the suburbs. And the people that rent these homes, you want someone who is reliable, who has pride and shows up to work and pays their bills on time. And those kind of people are not going to accept a house that is subpar. Not only do they not have to because of the marketplace, but they deserve better than that. They deserve a house and a home that they can be proud of with their families. So, Chase, go down with us some highlights about the right and wrong ways to do things, what people think it should cost, and we've got a short list. Let's see what we can get to today.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I've seen, and it's the same things that come up over and over. And the one biggest thing that I've seen is when, say, an owner tries to take on too much themselves, and when that happens, it just delays the process. Kind of, nitpicking at every smaller thing that should be done, but they don't think that needs to be done. We're the experts. We specialize in this, and the more hands off you can kind of be and put trust into the experts, the quicker we're going to get the work done, and the quicker you're going to get it back on the market, and it's going to be in the best condition. So your tenants are satisfied when they do move in, and so they don't have initial, I guess, they don't have any initial problems in the beginning when they first get on the property. And that's one of the biggest issues that I do see with these properties are, the ones that, we're not able to get in there and get everything done that, was recommended, or we, wanted to add this or add that. We do it for a reason. And it's because we want to save you money in the long run, and we want to get tenants in there quicker. So that's the biggest thing that I do see.
I don't think that everybody understands that there's a particular order of operations. If you're putting in flooring and painting and baseboards and this and that, there's an order of operations. And sometimes those trades need to overlap, which has to be scheduled. And what they are paying for to call you or have us call you or somebody else is to have someone manage those trades when they not only overlap, but also when they fail to show up because the truck had a flat tire, or they're not going to paint today because it's raining, and it cascades, and someone has to manage that process. And so that's what they're paying for. People think that investors and I'll say real estate landlords think that they're paying a property manager to manage everything. But the truth is, for $89 a month and $69 after taxes and $9 after all the expenses, how much do you think we can manage for $9 a month? I mean, it's just, there's not that much money there. And so we have to use third parties who actually can get paid to do those management oriented tasks. And keep in mind, if your property is brand new, you're not going to be paying for that kind of orchestration. But if your property is 30 years old, it's going to require a little bit of orchestration. So let's talk about the cost on that, since we kind of touched on that subject. What are you finding when you're sending out bids? Let's say overall versus specifically in the Austin area with recent price changes, supply line changes, everything else. What are you seeing with the pricing, your offering, your estimates, all that, versus what the assumption is that things should cost?
Yeah. So in the Austin area, the cost for everything's a little bit higher. So we have a lot higher cost of labor since the living cost here is a lot higher than most of Texas. So we have to pay our employees more. We see a higher cost of supplies. A lot of, say, the Home Depots, the Lowe's, even the local spots, just to afford to, set up shop where they're at, they have to charge more. And gas and travel time in Austin is just atrocious because there's always traffic. So there's a lot of little factors that does make, our price in Austin a little bit higher than most of the U.S. Because these things do come into play.
So what are you seeing as a difference in the service providers? I mean, you're out there, you've got competition like the rest of us. What are the variables that make one supplier of property services such as yourself better than another?
Yeah, so the way I look at it is there's two different kind of providers. You have, your full operations. So we at SPC always have someone out in the field, and we always have someone out or in the office Monday through Friday. But we always have someone who can answer emails or answer calls fairly quickly. And the difference between us is, we're able to have that communication. And I think that's the biggest thing in this industry, and what this industry is lacking, where we can provide a higher level of service, is the communication. So you'll notice with us, and hopefully the owners notice as well, is that we can get an answer, we can get an estimate, we can give a timeline pretty quickly and pretty accurately. And I think that's what the difference is between, Bob, who's running, his truck out there, is, he'll take off a week or two, right? But, we're always here. We're always taking on work orders. We're reliable, and we communicate with everyone. And I think that makes a huge difference when it does come to this.
It also creates some efficiencies. And so as we kind of get further into this today, we're going to open up our first poll, which is visible to everybody on the bottom of the screen. And the question is, what is your biggest concern about property maintenance? This does not track who votes on what, so we promise not to hold anything against you. But somebody jumped in early and often and said, cost. And cost, I think, is one of those things that is deceptive. Because if we send you a bid, and let's just say the bid's $1,000, and you say, I want a second bid. By the time we get you the second bid, you've wasted $200 in hold time if we can get you a second bid in 2 days. But the second bids, 98% of the time, come in higher, because we know what the service providers cost, and we're going to send the best one at that time. So now we're $200 behind, and now that you've delayed, you can't get the service provider out. So now we're scheduling for a week later because no one's available. And these just cascade. So it seems like trying to save, 50 or $100 really ends up costing the owners or the investors $500 with indecision. And or sending someone who's subpar always costs more because you have to go back. They don't warranty the work. There's a lot of invisible costs that come back to bite you if you don't kind of strike quickly with the best provider and trust the professionals on those tasks. And reliable service providers is really the biggest challenge all of us face, because we need somebody who has insurance who, okay, you're not going to get I had a client the other day who, we actually liked the client, but we sent a company that was not SPC, and they caulked something. Now, mind you, even on the exterior of your house, caulk is supposed to last 6 months. 3 years later, it needed to be repaired, and he asked if they offered a 5-year warranty on caulk. Where like the whole job was worth $120. Like, I don't even know how to start that conversation if you're not kind of getting that. But the reliability of service providers who do deliver higher end services, $1,000, $2,000, $10,000 remodels, to go back in 90 days and actually repair something if it's found to be done incorrectly is massive. Because if you say $500, you may end up hiring another provider to repair what that first supplier didn't do correctly. So feel free to chime in on the poll if you'd like, and we'll open the second one here in a little bit. So the next topic we've got is landscaping cost and hidden cost. So when you're in another country or another state, you've got a property in Austin, and you get a bill from your property manager that says, yeah, we had some landscaping done. Well, most folks are expecting a month and a half long vacancy, and it's going to cost them $150 to have it mowed twice, and it'll look fine. How does that kind of flow into what you've seen with landscaping between tenancies and your experience, Chase?
Yeah, so during vacancy, we typically see mowing. And in Texas, it can be every other week, or, it won't rain for a month and you won't have to mow it for a month. So with vacancy, it's all about kind of the weather. It can be very costly, or it can cost close to nothing. But besides the mowing, you're looking at the trimming of the trees in between. You don't want any of the trees touching your house, so you don't have insects, you don't have termites. Trimming the bushes, curb appeal, when people are coming by, we want to make sure everything's trimmed up. And of course, just your simple mulch. But I mean, those four things kind of hitting right there. Typically every turnover, at least once a year, you're going to want to get that stuff done. Your trimming, your mulching, all of that. But those are the typical things we see outside of mowing.
I think everybody really underestimates the importance of something as simple as the lantanas or the plumbagos or something that is a plant that survives the Texas weather and will come back year after year. And I mean, you may have some tenants leave and you have to trim that thing all the way down to the ground, but it'll come back. And they're relatively inexpensive. And putting those plants in really gives you that curb appeal. You don't, again, $100 a day to sit on the market. So if you want to save $50 on mulch because you just want a penny pinch on here's what gets me. So in Austin, you can't just buy an investment property. Builders don't sell to you. Anything you want to buy on the resale market takes multiple bids. You've got to pay over asking price. So people are paying, 10, 50, 100, 150, hundreds of thousands of dollars more than list for high-end homes, but they want to skimp $50 on the mulch. It's like, come on, penny smart, pound foolish here. Let's get it done and get it done right and quick so we can get these homes occupied, have a tenant in them, and have them producing cash. That $50 on mulch or that $50 on plumbagos or whatever is going to get the property leased with somebody who you want to be in there, not somebody who you're willing to take because you priced it too high or didn't do the make ready and now you're 45 days down and kind of suffering without cash flow. So thanks for sharing some of those with us. The tree is a big deal. I don't think people underestimate that you have to trim those things and you have to trim them correctly because you don't want to kill the tree. There's a lot more to it than that. So next question we've got for you is just something kind of on the back end. One of the things that we have come up from time to time is roof issues. So when roof issues happen, is it an insurance claim? Is it not an insurance claim? What about a possum? Possum actually digging through the shingles, decking, everything, and going into your attic. Is that a roof claim? Is it not a roof claim? So let's just ask to see what folks have or don't have. Some of our owners are well-to-do and actually have the ability to self-insure. So do you currently have homeowners insurance? That should be visible for you now. We can kind of get back to that in a second. Remodel, third topic. This one is fun. A lot of people buy homes and the homes, hey, folks have lived in there 30 years. The home has great bones, but nobody wants that green shag carpet that's original. We can't even begin to tell you what's happened on that carpet in 30 years. So the sinks look, pink and original gold, not new gold. And what do you find when you're doing remodels on these houses? What's the hidden that people need to know? What's just some great info for them to put in their pocket?
I mean, the biggest thing that we see with our remodels, we do a lot of bathrooms and kitchens, and what we see are, a lot of outdated kitchens and bathrooms. And I think that brings a great value to the home. And they range anywhere, from like a $5,000 to a $20,000, but an updated kitchen, with new cabinets, new countertops, new flooring, kind of really just, people walk in and those are the first things that they see, and that's where they spend a lot of time in the kitchen. And so we see that people get attached to what they have, and when we move forward with these remodels, it's hard to kind of let go, but it does bring a lot of value to the home, especially the kitchens and the bathrooms.
Well, and we recommend to our owners, depending on the age of the house, you need to be spending 10 to 20% of the money we send you, the rental income, on maintenance. If you're not spending that money over a course of 2-3 years, you're not winning. That's not a game. You're in trouble because somewhere there's a repair needed and no one is sharing the information with you, and it's going to get worse. So if you've got a brand new home, you may get out 2-3 years without anything, and that's lovely. But if you've had this home, it's 10 years or more, and you're not spending any money on maintenance, that's a red flag that your property manager is not checking on that home. So don't think that not spending money specifically on maintenance is a win. You should be calling us, and we should be calling Chase or another service provider to do those remodels every 10, 15 years at the minimum. Keep in mind that that's not money you're burning. That money is going to raise and maintain the value of your asset. So if you fail to spend the money or you refuse to spend the money, you're not saving the money. You're simply getting less and less in rental income and lowering the value of that property down the road. Now, we absolutely do not want you to go in and just renovate things for fun. That's not how we do it. There's a strategy to it, but you can't get to the point where your house is falling down, where tenants aren't complaining, where you're having to break leases because you're not repairing things. We've had a lot of owners over the years that we've had to let go because they've just refused to repair things on the house that were not cosmetic, they were functional. And so I appreciate you sharing kind of those price ranges with us. I agree with you. The kitchen's kind of the heartbeat of everything.
Well, one of after listening to you, one of the big things that we do see are a lot of bubblegum fixes throughout the year. So a lot of smaller fixes to kind of, hey, I don't want to spend too much money on this. Let me spend, $150 to fix this little leak, or, $75 to fix this cabinet, or, something like that. But in the end of the day, it's, you're going to keep making all these fixes to, something older, like your kitchens or your bathrooms, when, like you said, you go through and you have a brand new kitchen, and, that's going to last you, a good 4 or 5 years before you, hopefully see anything. And it comes with a warranty as well. So, why spend the money on all these little fixes that are just going to keep happening when you could have just taken that money? It's time to remodel and kind of put it back into your home.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like you're saying, when you band-aid problems, you're never back to a clean slate. And let's just say drawers. People accidentally slam a drawer, it breaks, you put a screw in it. They slam another one, it breaks, you put a screw. Before long, there's nowhere to even put the screws in it or nowhere to glue it, and things are falling apart. And it's not because people are necessarily just abusive and out to break things, but wear and tear is normal. If you get a nail in your tire, you patch it once. You get a couple nails in there, and they'll tell you, we can't do this anymore. You got to get a new tire. And that's just because it's not functional anymore. It's not safe. And the house is, maybe it's not a safety issue, but you start putting those Band-Aids, and boy, the value of your investment drops, and that doesn't go away. So you need to really spend money to maintain that property so it does go up in value over the years. So our poll came back that everybody watching today that wants to chime in does have insurance. I highly recommend. I don't even care if you're, an investor that's paid off and you can self-insure. Homeowners insurance is just cheap for what you get, and you're going to want the liability of that coverage no matter what, because it only takes one lawsuit with one attorney who loves to bleed wealthy people. It's easy to figure out who's a target, and if you think these attorneys won't target you for fun because they find out you have holdings, you're underestimating them, because we've seen it. So definitely, if you can get homeowners insurance, get it, maintain it, don't ever let it drop. Chase, let's talk about the standard minimums for common repairs. What are you seeing is kind of the best way to handle some of these things? What are examples, recommendations? I mean, you go in and you take a property from tenant A to B every day, all day. This is what you do. What are you seeing?
I mean, most of what we see are going to be your drywall repairs. So holes in the wall from a doorknob, or if something gets moved around. But that's the biggest thing we see. It's repairing doors, drywall repairs, blinds falling down, small plumbing repairs, like the garbage disposal is not working. So those are kind of the everyday things that we do see a lot of. And we have a minimum to typically go out. And our minimum's going to be $75, which here in Austin is really low. You'll see your typical, 125 or 150. But, like I said, we've been working with 1836 for a while. We love working for them. So, if we can get out there and we can get, some of these jobs approved on site, or if we can set up jobs within a certain amount of area or a certain area, for one day, that really helps us bring down these costs for, all your customers. So, your typical drywall repairs, you're seeing anywhere between like a 150 to, anywhere up to, 750. But, for something like that, if we can get out there, those are materials that we're going to have with us, before we get there. And if we can get there and repair it on site, that brings down our costs for travel. It brings down our labor costs. It brings down tons of costs. So, if we can get out there, with a set amount already that we're already approved to go ahead and move forward with, it really helps us. And I think it helps the customers as well.
So I think some clients underestimate sometimes the complexity of these repairs. So let's say you've got a hole this big in the drywall. Whatever happened. Somebody was moving in, put a hole in the wall. How many trips to the property does that take you? You've got the hole. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, so that'll be something that we would be able to take care of in one trip. If we can go out there, there's a certain minimum to that. We can get out there and we can get that done on site. But there are other things that we see where, we'll go out there. It looks like a small repair. So say it's like a door handle, right? So we would have to go out to the property, see what kind of door handle is. We want to match that door handle to, say, the rest of the door handles in there. We want to make sure that we have one that fits. So after that, we have to go back and we have to purchase the material. After we purchase the material, then we go back to the property, but we have to make sure that the tenant is going to still be available. So there's like a lot of little factors like that not a lot of people see really go into it. And it takes a lot more time on some of these smaller projects than you would initially think. There's a lot more details to some of these things than, it really looks to be.
Absolutely. And by the time you drove there in traffic, you drive to Home Depot, you park and go in and deal with Home Depot. You go back to you're 2 hours deep and you haven't even touched the door handle yet. And I think everybody underestimates that. And your luck on drywall must be a lot better than mine, because I don't think I've ever gone to a property where there was paint and it was fresh and it still matched on site. Just because paint exists in a can from 1982 doesn't mean that paint is still good and will match anything in that house. And trying to match it is like a Where's Waldo at Sherwin-Williams who doesn't even have supply anymore. And so oftentimes we've got with you guys and said that even if you're going to match it close, but it's not perfect, you've got to paint corner to the corner on the whole wall, because otherwise you got a huge spot. And that's with the best laid efforts. It just isn't perfect. It's not a new house, and it's no one's fault. Nobody wants to hear that. But that is part of the process, is that paint doesn't match. Paint disappears. Paint dries out. It's separated. And that's from 1 year ago, if you're lucky. So your luck must be a lot better than mine. I've never seen one of those where you could be done in one trip.
We have, we're lucky with you guys, because a lot of the painting that we do, it kind of brings us back to the turnovers. We use the same colors for all the turnovers. There's typically 2 different colors that we use. So if we're going out to, say, one of your properties to go fix one of these holes, we always are going to have, one of those colors. So it's a 50-50 shot. If we went in and, everything was done at the turnover and, there's a hole there, we can come in, get everything done. But if not, you're absolutely right. And we have to match the paint. We have to bring it to Sherwin-Williams. It might not be 100% match. Come back, you have to texture the wall. And so, yeah, there are a lot of little things that do go into all these small repairs.
And I think I forgot to post this earlier, but I just posted it now a little bit late that I think if anybody has any questions, you're welcome to pop those on the right side of the screen. We'll certainly address those. But yes, the costs are always more in Austin. Materials are more if you can get them, because a lot of times there's a supply chain issue that's been going on for about a year now. And the same thing with labor. I feel like I've not seen a town where less people worked other than San Diego. San Diego, if the surf is up, people always get another job. Seems like Austin has turned into that, where we have clients that say, well, just go find somebody to do that. And we're like, you don't understand. Nobody wants to do that. It doesn't matter. They don't care. And I don't know how people are living without, jobs, but that's kind of the service industry that we're dealing with right now, whether it's restaurants that can't find wait staff or handyman services or anything else. So it really is a challenge, not just find the supplies, but the staffing, and then to go through traffic and everything else. And so without vendors like SPC, we couldn't function. We have to have reliable third-party vendors. And I can't say it enough that we know our vendors. And, life for everyone ebbs and flows, and people have good days and bad days. But those that stand behind their work are the ones that we want to send to our investors, because we know that is going to be something that is going to serve them the best holistically, not just, can I get it done cheap? You can always find a guy down the street that's with a truck. Good luck, though. I mean, is the house going to be robbed when you're done? If he stubs his toe, is he going to be more interested in suing you than fixing the job? There's just so many factors to it. On top of it all, we have to do net 30 billing, because we're not standing there with cash in our hand to pay some guy we've never met before. And so we have to deal with professionals, and our investors hopefully hold us to that. So Chase, what else? I'm going to put your link on our website, so if anybody has any questions, I want to make sure that they can get a hold of you. What else did we not cover today that you think would be helpful for investors?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely more services that we can offer. We just started recently doing a cleaning service. So, while tenants are in place, the owners have been paying for these cleaners to go in. And, once a month, just go in and kind of spruce up the place. That us to kind of be the eyes and ears, to see how your tenants are. And it also is a nice gesture as well. It keeps the tenants happy. But, mostly, like, you hit on the labor shortage. And that's been a big problem recently. With us too, it's really, really hard to find good people to work for you. And we've been working with, the same people for the last couple of years. So I've had the same employees for the last couple of years, which I've been blessed with that. But like you said, it's very, very hard to find someone in our industry who A, has a vehicle, B, has the tools, C, they can wait 30 days to go ahead and get paid out. A lot of guys in our industry can't wait for longer than a couple of days to get paid out. So no, I think we hit everything. But if there's any questions, anyone can feel free to send me an email. I can answer anything that you need to. And I thought this was a great topic, and we hit on everything that we should.
So we've got the contact information up on the corner for you guys. One of our agreements with all of our vendors is that if our investors ever have a question, while we're happy to get the answers for them, they are also welcome to have a direct contact, if they would like, with our vendors. We don't like the investors and the residents talking, because they circumvent us as soon as we try to apply the rules to everybody and make them follow the contract. They start feeling guilty, and everybody gets pulled a little bit to the side instead of following the rules of the road. But as far as the investors and the service providers that they're paying for as a pass-through through us, they're always welcome to speak with you guys directly. And most of our investors, simply, I would say 75% trust us, know how we work, don't have the time, and that's why they hired us to deal with it. But you always run across a couple of investors that are either engineers or something like that. And when it comes to a very meticulous item, they've got some questions, and it's kind of entertaining, because sometimes they even stump our technicians, but they're welcome to have those conversations. if 1836 is their property management company. We want them to always feel comfortable and be able to ask you guys, hey, this bid's 10 grand. I didn't really plan on this. Tell me what's going on just so I understand it. And I really recommend those open dialogue type conversations so everybody can really feel at ease with each other instead of upset because something costs money. Life costs money. I got a nail in my tire the other day and ended up buying 4 new tires. And that's just life. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just life. And sometimes things happen at these properties, and the hot water heater should last 10 years, but it lasts 7. Well, let's see if we can make part of that covered by the warranty or something else. But it happens, and we need to deal with it. We need to deal with it with professionalism. We need to make sure that we're keeping our agreements with the tenants and delivering a quality home that they can be happy to live in and feel proud of, so that they pay their rent on time and aren't fighting us trying to use that rent in lieu of something, even though that's not really how it works. So Chase, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today. We appreciate you guys as a partner. We value you. We value your input when it comes to the experience you bring to the table. And I really appreciate you helping us connect with our investors so that they understand how things work and don't Google something and WebMD themselves into the hospital with a fictitious case of investment cancer or something like that because they sat behind the computer at 2 a.m. So we really appreciate you. Anything else that you want to bring out as far as any future podcast or anything else, blogs, we're happy to kick out in collaboration with you and just really appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. And I just want to say thank you. I do appreciate you and I appreciate your team. And, as always, like anytime any of the investors, they do have any questions, for us, I'm always here to answer any questions, either through email, or if they just need to simply give me a call. So I'm always open. If they do have any questions, feel free to give my contact information. I'll be able to help them or walk them through whatever they need to.
Sounds great. We'll see you soon, Chase. Thank you guys all for tuning in today. Don't forget to check out our other crowdcasts and subscribe on our website, 1836propertymanagement.com, so we can keep you in the loop on anything that we have upcoming. See you guys soon and take care. Happy investing.